Welcome to the Pyramyd Insider, friends. My name's Tyler Patner, and today we have the pleasure of reviewing the new FX Impact M4 30 caliber 700mm barrel. Let's dive in. Now, if you followed our channel for quite a while, you will know the last time we took a look at an FX Impact was the Mark II Compact. That was many, many years ago. So there was an M3 version in between the Mark II and the now M4. There are some pretty substantial differences that we will talk through today, of course, but just know the Impact is kind of the crown jewel in the FX line, and there's very good reason for that. It has done very well at some of the biggest competitions in the world and sets a very high bar for what a high-end PCP rifle should be. So starting with the front of the Impact, every Impact, except for the compacts, of course, is going to come with a FX moderator. Now this is basically a hollow tube moderator here. It used to be stackable, no longer stackable. Stackable meaning it came in sections, you could build it longer, shorter, whatever you wanted. So this is as it comes. When we do the accuracy portion of our testing, this will not be on the gun. I found that through testing, I am getting better accuracy without it than with it. So something to note for those of you out there that are going to be using a moderator on your Impact or any gun for that matter, it's always a good practice to test with and without, see what gives you the best results down range. And of course the moderator screws into 1/2-20 threads. Now one thing to note, since we're not going to be using the moderator here when we get out to the range, there is not a protective cap or cover that comes to cover the exposed threads, the 1/2-20 threads that are at the end of the shroud. So just know that if you do use without it, there will not be a protective cap there. So it kind of looks unsightly, I suppose, but functionally works just fine. Of course, the barrel is fully shrouded, and as I mentioned before, this is a 700mm barreled variant. There's also a 600mm variant and a 500mm compact. There are a couple other changes that go along with it, and of course, today we're focusing on the 700, so that's what we'll be talking about. Just know that you may have to go to the product page to see what the details are on like air cylinder sizes and some of those other data points with the other barrels. And of course, within that shroud, we have the STX Superior liner, and this is in 30 caliber, of course. The Impact by nature is caliber interchangeable as well as barrel length interchangeable, so very modular design. You can kind of throw whatever you want into this gun and run it, retune it and go. It's very simple. But also one thing you'll notice here, by nature of the design, the barrel goes from obviously the moderator, it's not extended through here, but basically the end of the shroud all the way to the back of the breech block here. So that makes the gun a bullpup by nature. It is still fairly short for having a 700mm barrel, and that's what people love about the Impact. It's got a great ergonomic design of a bullpup without really looking like a true bullpup. So comes with a lot of advantages in terms of having a long runway to get your pellet or slug up to speed without looking like it's 4 feet long, which is awesome. That's why you guys love it. It's why I love it too. Now dropping down from our barrel and shroud system, this is a 580cc carbon fiber bottle here. Very solid. This is going to give you the most shots that the Impact can offer, I suppose, in terms of factory bottle configurations. There is a 480cc bottle version and a 300cc bottle version as well. And of course, those are 100% interchangeable, can be removed under pressure, all of the good stuff that we love here. But 580cc is pretty good air capacity, fills to 250 bar again, 3625 PSI or so. And we have a gauge on the right-hand side of the gun that tells us what our fill pressure is at any given time. Now, for those of you that may be familiar with the M3, you will know that there used to be a front regulator right here. There is no longer that front reg. There is just one single reg in this gun, and it is housed actually back within the trigger guard here. We'll get you a nice close-up of that, but fully adjustable. You can do so under pressure as well. Read the manual before you go adjusting things. Please do that. But again, the Impact, obviously a very user adjustable platform, and that reg adjustment is going to be how you get there for the most part. Now, one of your other ways of controlling the potential output power of your gun is a valve control knob, and that's located between the bottle and the barrel system right in here. There are some lines on it. We'll get you a close-up of that as well. but basically you can consider it kind of a valve return spring tension control, I suppose. It's a little hard to describe. They just call it a valve control knob. But this is probably the one thing on the Impact from a power setting standpoint that you don't need to play with out of the box in very many instances. So if you're gonna play with the power output of this gun, that's the one I would not touch and or leave alone. Now, moving on from there, one of the cool changes on the M4 compared to the M3 is this top rail system. So we have a longer Picatinny rail setup here, but the cool part about this is it is fully adjustable along this 11mm dovetail. So you could, in theory, move this entire rail back to here. And the great thing about that is it gives you the ability to run different kinds of optics. If you want to run a prism sight or a red dot for some reason, you can certainly do that, but your eye release is going to be different. So being able to move that Picatinny rail system further back or further forward, depending on what you want to do, obviously gives you a little bit of extra customization ability of the Impact as a platform. Now, one of the other things that you'll note is I did mention that this is an 11mm dovetail. If you, for some reason, wanted to run 11mm dovetail mounts, you can remove the Picatinny rail and mount directly to this 11mm dovetail as you wish, all right? So it's kind of at your fingertips here, and this 11mm dovetail system is part of a new rail system that goes the whole way back here and is a lot more rigid than the setup that the Impact M3 Mark II and of course the original Impact had. So a little bit more rigidity and stability as well. And while we're in the ballpark here, you do have pick rails on the sides here, and you have a small pick rail that we've mounted our AccuTac bipod to as well. Of course, a lot of you guys out there, Saber Tactical, Crawford and Lip, there's a handful of companies making aftermarket products for the Impact line of guns. You can actually replace this portion of the trigger guard, get you an extended rail that goes down underneath the bottle, around the bottle. There's 1.5 million ways to customize the Impact platform out there. You should absolutely check them out. We carry a bunch of them. And makes it your own, cool, and also can extend your bipod a little further, give you different mounting options. There's all sorts of fun stuff out there. Now moving back to the cocking system. So we do have a new short throw lever. Now this short throw technically I believe came about on the M3. There's also some other changes internally here that came about on the M3 that are carried over into the M4. But one thing to note, it is ambidextrous, so you can change it from the right hand side as you see it here to the left hand side if you so choose, so doable. Some of you may prefer to run the gun like this versus like this. So whatever you want to do with the Impact, you can, righties, lefties, you are all welcome on the Impact platform. One other thing I should note about the cocking lever system, which is pretty neat, is back here, it's got a little detent in there now. This didn't used to exist, like when we reviewed the Mark II, for example, that will actually keep it back. So it's not going anywhere. For those of you that are shooting like NRL or PRS style events where they require you to have an open bolt as you're transitioning between target locations or something like that, this is a very handy thing. You don't want this flopping around. So this isn't anything that's gonna hold you up from a speed standpoint, but just know if you leave it back there, it's gonna stay back there. So a nice little touch that they've added. And since it's convenient and since I have the gun cocked, you can see the safety here. It's kind of a reverse AR selector style thing. So safe is in that up position. You flip it there, make it hot and ready to go. And you can actually decock the gun, hold the lever back, pull the trigger, all safe and good to go. So decocking still very easy to do with the Impact M4. Now, dropping down to probably my favorite new enhancement on the M4 platform is this new quickset trigger. The quickset trigger was designed to give you basically the ability to go between a match precision bench trigger and a more hunting friendly trigger. That's the intent anyway. Quite frankly, out of the box, this is probably the nicest I've ever felt an FX trigger, and I'm not touching it. I don't care what the application is, but my uses are different than your guys' uses. So you may prefer to set this differently. The quick set adjustment system gives you the ability to very quickly transition between maybe a hunting feel or a little heavier and a nice match precision feel. So again, very customizable to whatever you want, but just know that the new trigger system on the M4 probably the best we've seen yet on an Impact. Now we mentioned it before, but I'll touch on it again. Just behind the trigger system here, inside of that trigger guard, you do have the new AMP Mark II regulator coming with some internal changes. That Mark II reg so far in our testing has been rock solid, so fantastic. And I assume the changes to the Mark II are why they've gone away from the 2 reg system system that we saw on the M3. And quite frankly, my opinion, I'd rather have one reg than two. Less stuff to go wrong, less stuff to deal with when you're resealing the entire gun. So AMP Mark II reg, thumbs up from me so far. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff to talk about on this gun. Have you figured that out yet? Now flip the gun over here to talk about a significant change that happened with the M3 to the power adjustment system here built in, and that is the quick tune system here. You have a micro adjustment to your hammer spring tension as well as the macro adjustment wheel that we've seen on the Impact in all iterations past. Now, one thing to note, out of the box, I haven't touched this except for playing with the macro wheel just a hair. It came at 16, so at max power. I've adjusted it down a little bit as we've been trying different projectiles, but outside of that, I haven't had to do any tuning. But the nice thing about this is that you can have your settings built in. Let's say you want to shoot a pellet and then go to a slug later. You can just record these settings, pretty much dial back to them, and you're going to be pretty much right on where you were as long as you haven't made any regulator adjustments. So gives you the ability, whether you're transitioning between different projectiles, different calibers, whatever you may have to adjust your tune for, this gives you a very easy way to reference that and then get back to it. So the quick tune system has been an awesome upgrade to the Impact as a platform and very easy to work with. Rolling on back, we do have the Power Plenum 750. 750 meaning 75 cc's of plenum volume. That's post-regulator volume. That is basically the volume you have available to you when you pull the trigger. So to power your pellet or slug, that's the most volume we've ever seen on an Impact. And should give you the most power we've ever seen out of an Impact, if that's how you want to set it up. Not what I would necessarily suggest, but just know 75 cc's is a 3 cc increase over the 72 cc's that you had on the M3, so should give you a tad more power. And that is connected to the FX power block for the Impact, of course. Now, we saw this change on the M3 as well, so just know that this is opened up to give you the best airflow, to give you all of the available power that 75cc plenum is going to have in its control. So you've got a lot going on back here. Just know this is optimized to pretty much do whatever you want to do with it as a platform, whether that's shooting slugs, whether that's shooting pellets, high reg pressure, low reg pressure. It's going to allow you to tune it to your heart's content. And on the bottom of that power block, just for reference there, you do have your regulator gauge. You can see what your reg's currently set at if you're adjusting or making adjustments, where it's headed, and of course diagnose any potential performance issues you may see or think you're seeing based on chronograph results or what have you. But reg gauge right there, easy to read, just got to flip the gun over. Now, before we talk about the magazines, loading them into the breech block, a couple other small details to reference. You do have your cheek piece right here. This is not adjustable or anything like that. Just know though that there are replacements out there. If you do want something adjustable, you want a lefty, whatever friendly version, there's 1.5 million accessories. I said this before, you can customize the Impact to your heart's content. So cheek piece, butt pad. Know that the butt pad is adjustable by way of a thumb screw right here. You can drop it down, kind of find your sweet spot in between, whatever you like. You do have the dual transfer port system on the end of the barrel assembly here, so just know you want to switch it between pellets, slugs, whatever. You can do that there. It's basically you pull it out, rotate it, stick it back in. Very easy to do. The grip, new grip here. I found it very comfortable so far. This is the UG1 grip from FX, but of course it is AR compatible, so you can swap it with something else if you prefer. Saber tactical grip, like thumb up grips. There's all sorts of stuff out there, so that is very easy to adjust. But like I said, I have liked it considerably more than I liked the previous FX grip, although I didn't really have an issue with that old one. So pure improvement in my opinion. Now real quick, filling the gun, you do so by way of a quick disconnect fitting located under here. Now, you will need an extended fitting, or you can use the FX one that comes with it. You just need something longer than like the standard smaller QD fittings to grab onto, because if you try, this is the one that comes with the gun. This gives you just enough room here, once it's snapped on, to get your fingers in there and pull it off. The Saber extended one is even longer than this. I prefer that myself, but just know if you try to hook up a standard smaller QD to this, it may get stuck on there and you may have to remove it with pliers. So try not to do that if you can help it. Comes with a small protective cap as well. And now let's show you these new side shot magazines here. The side shot mags obviously have been in use for a long time. There's really nothing super special about the new version. The older versions will still work in the M4, and that's important for those of you that have impacts already that use the side shot mags. These are great magazines. They're huge high capacity mags. This is 23 rounds in 30 cal. It's monstrous. Of course, it's obviously 30 cal being one of the larger calibers the impact's offered in. 25, 22, 177 are all gonna have a higher capacity than that. So it's a lot. You can go find them on our website when you go look. So loading that side shot mag, you take this little tab here, you rotate it around to the opening in the cover, and you pop the cover right off. You leave that down there. You put your finger in one of these spots here, you rotate it all the way around, and then you hold it in one of the other spots. What I do is I put my thumb behind the opening there, all right, just like so. I take a pellet or a slug and I drop it in head first and let tension go on the cylinder there and let it hold itself under tension, and then you just very simply load yourself up the rest of the way. I'm not gonna load this in its entirety because 23 rounds is a lot, but once you get it loaded to your satisfaction, you simply take your cover plate, make sure you're on the right side. You've got that kind of recess in the cover here, so you know that that is the downside. You locate it on your tab right there, rotate back around, and you are good to go. And then in terms of how you load this into the gun, slide our gun back here. So cock the gun, then you find this opening here in your magazine. You go ahead, find the position where the barrel comes just out of the breech. You find it, up and in, just like so. You hear that click, it is locked in. This is not going anywhere. To remove the magazine when you're done shooting, you go ahead, you flip this tab right here at the back and pull, very simple. But if you do not have this tab depressed, you are not getting that magazine out of the gun. So just know, you depress the tab, you pull the mag. Very simple, easy to do. You decock the gun, take it off safe, do that there. And now we're ready to go hit the range and see if the Impact M4 continues on the Impact's winning legacy. Let's do it. Holy that might be the smallest group we've ever shot, ever. Whoa. All right, friends, temperatures are dropping here in Cleveland. It's very ugly outside. You might be able to hear the rain actually pounding on the ceiling. And this is an outside facing wall, so I'm wearing a sweatshirt. Sorry, not on brand. I get it. Impact, 45 yards. We start with the pellets here. So JTS 45 grain pellets. That's 5 shots in a 5/8 inch group. Basically one big ragged hole. Very expected stuff out of the Impact. You have the JSB 44s, just slightly smaller, right around just a hair over a half inch, like 0.55 for 5 shots as well. We've tested Impacts before. Obviously, those JSBs are typically the way to go, the 44 grainers. Not as good were like the 50 grains and some of the other pellets that we have in 30 cal, like the Umarex Brimstones. We tested all of that stuff. Those were our 2 best. Now, what surprised me? Slugs. Guys, you well know. Other than doing it in our preliminary testing, we've not had much luck with slugs in many guns. When we tested the Impact Mark II, 30 cal slugs were barely a thing. Granted, this was like 2019. My oh my, things have changed, my friends. So these are H&N 301 size 50 grain slugs. That's a 3/4 inch group. Not great for a gun like the Impact, but out of slugs, this is set up on the pellet transfer port setting. It's only shooting like 44 grains at 8 something. We know these are gonna wanna go faster, 3/4 of an inch. Not awful, but that's the worst one. Check this out. FX Hybrids, 5/8 of an inch, all right? So getting better. Zan, 45.5 grains, 7/16. That's like 0.45. That's solid. And again, probably going slower than they should be. A 3/8 inch group, 5 shots out of Zan 49 grains. Are you kidding me? Guys, Impact M4 with the superior STX barrel, kind of the standard liner, 700 millimeters, shooting slower than it wants to, is shooting slugs better than pellets. I guess we're gonna take those Zans over the chronograph now and see how slow they're going, because I'm telling you guys, they're going way slower than they want to be, which probably means you all will be graced with a second video of me flipping this thing to the slug setting and tuning this gun up way hotter than it is now. So taking those 49 grain Zan slugs over the chronograph, as suspected, the gun is shooting way slower than conventional wisdom would tell us that slugs want to go and be accurate. So very surprising to get the accuracy results we got. But from a 250 bar fill, we got 93 shots at an 813 foot per second average from 250 bar down to 95 bar, which is where we came off the reg. You can see the settings on the screen: 100 bar reg, micro hammer spring adjustment at 3.5, macro adjuster at 16, and the transfer port is set for pellets. The thing is, guys, the extreme spread and the standard deviation are not up to snuff. We had a lot of bouncing, but 8-9 foot per second bounces between shots, and that's why that standard deviation is so broad at 4.4 feet per second. Now, while this is still 71, 72 foot-pounds of energy, again, I would like to tighten up these numbers to try and eke out the very best accuracy at long range with these slugs. Probably something we will attack in a future video, so stay tuned for that. We're gonna definitely spend some more time with this Impact M4 and these Zan slugs. All right, friends, let's wrap up the Impact M4. One thing to note, to point out, obviously we tested, or we attempted to test, I should say, without the moderator on there. Definitely snaps a little bit, but our sound meter died. Yes, you'll probably want to get out of the way now. Sorry, we have a new one on order, so next time you will see it again. But know that with the moderator, pretty backyard friendly, even in the 30 cal. Now, for the gun, the performance, stellar performance. I'm quite frankly astonished at how far these liners have come in the short time, relatively short time, a couple of years basically, since we last reviewed an FX for slugs. This is damn impressive, guys, to be shooting Zan slugs in a 3/8 inch group at 45 yards on a tune that really shouldn't be performing that well. we're gonna spend some more time on this. I need to see what this thing can do when it's tuned up right, when it's going hotter and stretching this gun's legs longer than that with those Zan slugs. It will come, I promise you, you will see that in the future from us. But overall, the Impact M4 as a platform really builds upon the impressive legacy that the Impact has already. The ergonomic changes, the new grip, some of the adjustable features with the scope rail, I like them a lot. Were they absolutely necessary? Were you guys calling for them? I don't know. But are they worthy of a new version of the gun? Yes. That's the important part. If you're not already an Impact owner, or you're looking to step up from another gun to something in this higher end price point, the Impact absolutely deserves your attention. It's super tunable, super friendly to use, and obviously shoots great, and that's the important part, guys. For The Insider, I'm Tyler Patner. We will see you next time. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, let us know what you think of the M4 and if you're gonna be picking one up, and we will see you next time. I'm out.